everyone. Welcome to Meetup with MeLa. I am MeLa, your host for today and every day on Meetup with MeLa. And I'm back here with our great friend Valerie Tridenti in honor of Women's History Month, the month of March. We're talking about women, what they're passionate about, the different things that they like to discuss, and especially women that have their own businesses. And Valerie actually is, I should say, a Jane of all trades instead of a Jack of all trades, and also has her own business on top of giving us some wonderful relationship advice. So I definitely want to welcome Valerie. Welcome, Val. I'm so happy to have you back today.
Thank you. And I'm so honored to be here again. Thank you so much. And thank you. Kudos to having this platform and all these awesome topics that you've been discussing. I'm enjoying them all. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you. We're so excited to have a familiar face back and definitely in a different capacity. But again, one of the amazing women that I know in terms of juggling so many different things and has so much wealth of knowledge. So I really appreciate that and you coming back on. The one thing that I would like to draw everyone's attention to that I always do is we have our social media platforms here. Mine is Meetup with MeLa on Facebook and Instagram. I also have the Meetup with MeLa YouTube page, and Valerie has her Facebook page, which is Valerie Jean, as well as her Instagram page, which is V Tridenti, as well as today, because she is coming on as a business owner, also her website, which is www.ucespp.net / or is that a / or backslash? I should look. V McGill / V McGill. Yes, we believe it's a backslash. But anyway, for you guys that can view us, you can definitely look down here. We'll have this scrolling the whole time. And definitely, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Meetup with MeLa page. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much at this point for all your support, and we are going to get started. So Valerie's company is called Financial Education Services. So Valerie, can you kick us off? Just sort of tell us a little bit about your business, how you got into this, and just sort of explain to us a little bit of what it's even about.
Yes. So just a little bit about myself first, so you know how I even came onto this journey, so first of all, I'm the definition of an empath. All right. So if anyone knows what that is, it's my biggest strength and my weakness as well. So I like to serve people, help people. I've always have been that way, family, friends, anyone, strangers, anybody, just anything I can do to help people. So that's been always my thing. And because of that, I did go to school for teaching. I did graduate and I did become a certified teacher, but at the time I was pregnant with my first son, and I delivered my son. So at that time of my life, I was working at a hospital that I'm at now. And they were, very flexible at the time, where like I didn't have to put my child in daycare. And my pay, because I was, there for a little bit, my pay was pretty decent. So to get into the career of teaching at the time, I would have had to student teach for a while. That means no real income coming, like no promising income coming in every week. Right. And then, of course, I just want to take a moment to say, teachers, you deserve so much more. You deserve so much more. But at the time, my position, I was making way more money than if I started as a teacher. Sadly, it shouldn't have been that way, but it's reality. So with having a newborn son, I could not, it just didn't make sense all the way around. So I didn't pursue it. Right. So I didn't pursue it, but of course, I'm at this job and I'm very blessed for it. I've been there for 20 years now. And I'm considered to make,
congratulations.
Thanks. And I'm considered to make like decent money, but it's not enough, and I'm not like utilizing my gifts. I feel like, my help people, my teaching, whatever. So years have gone by and I've been, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I've tried, to get, use my degree, and I can't, like the salary, right? I can't do it. Right. So basically, like, I was just determined, of course, as well. I also got divorced. So now in my family, and there's a reason why I'm telling you all this, it leads up. So in my
Yeah,
family,
no problem.
like my mom and my dad are divorced, right? So in
Okay.
my family, the man is the provider. That's how it like goes. So if you get divorced in my family, like, you're going to struggle. Like, the woman's going to struggle. It just seems like it always ends up that way in my family. My mom,
Okay.
she's been working 2 jobs, since I was 15 years old. She still is struggling 2 jobs. So it's like, oh, if you either, you're married or you have 2 incomes coming in, or you're going to have to like work a lot and you're going to have
And
to
that's really
struggle.
tough too, because it keeps people sometimes in a space that's not really the best or the healthiest space, as we've talked about in terms of
Mhm.
our relationship series. And like, that's really difficult. But then
Mhm.
you realize like, it doesn't, it keeps people sometimes in a space that's just not healthy because of that reason alone. And that's really tough to hear.
Yes, it is tough to hear, and it keeps you kind of like in this like box. Well, I guess this is my destiny, unless I find somebody. And I
Yeah.
honestly I feel like that is like I was determined. I'm like, that's not going to be me. For me and for like future generations, like we have to like cut that,
Yeah.
like
The generational curse of it all.
right.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
like we have to
struggle.
cut that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm determined. I'm going to find a way. So, and I didn't want to work 2 jobs because then I have to be away from my children more. And I didn't want to do that. So it's like, well, I gotta, so I've been, thinking.
Hmm.
And then, so how I came across this business is, I was following somebody who is my mentor now online on Instagram, and
Okay.
he's been in this company for like 4 years and really
Okay.
successful, helped a lot of people. So I was following him, and what made me like gravitate to him is because they have a youth financial literacy program. Now,
Okay.
because I'm the teacher, like minded person, and kids are my like everything.
Yes.
There's 2 things that I feel like are missing in schools, which is mental health. And like a lot, like I feel like they don't do enough with mental health and meditations. And if they started that, that's a whole other topic for another time. But if they
Yeah.
started that, like, young, it would really help, children up into adults. And
Yes.
literacy, financial literacy, that's like
That's
really missing.
huge.
It's huge. So kids, or young adults, they're becoming 18 years old, and credit card companies are throwing cards at them,
Yes.
and now a lot of these kids don't have the knowledge of
Yes.
like of the responsibility, and now they're in debt, and now they're having to at such a young age try to find a way out of it, and without the education to even find the way out of it, it becomes a real big problem, right? So
Exactly. It
it's
feels like you're digging yourself out like with a teaspoon, in terms of just trying to dig yourself out of this huge hole, and someone gives you like literally a teaspoon to dig yourself out. It feels like you just can't do it. And that's
right,
really, really tough.
right,
And I think also it brings about a lot of shame and embarrassment, and also like the fact that you maybe, don't know these things. It makes you feel like, oh my gosh, like, it sometimes makes it worse because you are so embarrassed. You don't necessarily want to seek the help because you're afraid when you do go to a place that they're like, oh my God, like you made the worst mistakes ever. And you're feeling like, okay, what can I do about It's
exactly.
so tough. It's so tough.
Yes, it is. So that when I found when I found that this company had a program for them, I was really into it because I've been doing with my kids like weekly, like mental, like life talks and money talks, right? So
Yeah.
I've been trying to teach my kids because I'm like, they're not going to get into school, they're going to get it from me. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to teach my kids like these things that I think are going to be so important for them. And so I was like, what is this program about? So when I looked
Yes.
into it, it's like a really fun, interactive online program. Where it's geared more like 5th graders to 9th graders, like give or take.
Okay.
It teaches them financial literacy, savings, and all kinds of things. And you can do it as a family together, which is great because it's that bonding piece as well. And this program also, like, so if you enrolled in the protection program to help yourself, $2 of that goes into the program to go to the schools. We go to the schools and we educate high school students
Oh,
on
wow. That's
financial
great.
literacy. Yes, and we donate to scholarships. So we're going to show we're going to show that in a little bit. But so this had my attention, so I was like, I've got to look into this. So following
Yes.
him, getting information from him, following the company, I'm like, you know what, and looking at the actual program that we offer, I'm like, this is really awesome. So, I contacted him about it. And I was talking to him a lot before I even joined. And, the real issue is, over like 1 trillion Americans are drowning in credit card debt as of March 2019.
Wow.
Trillion, a little over 1 trillion. And 56% of people do not have a rainy day fund.
Wow.
And 43 million people have a credit score of 599 or less.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is a way I can help people.
Yes, definitely.
Like, this is
That's a
a
lot
real
of people.
problem.
Yeah,
This is a real problem. And I could get into this, right? So
yes.
I was just, I was so intrigued by just all of that. So that's why I was talking about like me being a teacher, trying to be a teacher, and then me, coming across this, and with my kids, it kind of all came together for me.
Exactly. It's almost like worlds collide in the sense of like you're able to educate, and then also like you're saying they have the youth financial literacy portion of it in terms of being able to connect with kids and youth, and just being able to educate especially, and be hopefully proactive in terms of being able to give some tools and resources before kids hit adulthood and feel like they're running into those problems. So that's amazing. And then also feeling like, it sounds like you're also able to keep your day job, which again, you have seniority, you've been able to, be there. And I know you're an integral part of that group as well. And that's where, we met.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's like the perfect thing for you, Val.
Right.
And
Yeah.
using your gifts and assets, like you were saying.
And it's been great because, so, I was like, well, is this something I can even do? Because like you said, I do have a full-time job and I have my kids, and, how much is this, I know starting a business can be pricey. So, how am I going to be able to do this? Right. So,
Yes.
and honestly, it was just such an opportunity, because it cost less than $300 for me to start this business, to invest in.
Wow.
And to have access to all the services and the trainings. I get trainings, which I love, by the way. I never really felt like that so much about trainings in the past, but I get trainings all week long.
Wow.
I mean, all week long, there's training. Like I know there's like one Saturday a month I'm training for like 7-8 hours on on credit, on finances, on just the business end of it as well. And so the other part of it is I'm networking a lot, and I'm meeting so many people. So this is why, like, I was like, yes, this is for me. So I'm able to do this at home when I want. I mean, I am being consistent with it, but I'm able to, like, on my lunch break, fit in some clients, fit in some consultations. I'm able to at home, like, schedule some time and do it at home. So it's been, for me, it's been like a really good situation.
And how long have you been doing this now?
So officially, I've been doing this for 4 months.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty new business, which is definitely exciting.
Yep.
And like, so your major passion about this, like in terms of just, it sounds like even just having like a level of like financial literacy, which also leads to independence, some financial independence and autonomy, and not having to necessarily feel like, you have to be in a relationship or stay married to someone, or worry about like the struggle of like, do I have to have like 2 full-time jobs, which a lot of times it's not feasible or sustainable for most people. It definitely never seems like it is. So do you feel like, so is that like your main passion in terms of just being able to, educate people, and also the financial independence portion of it, or am I missing anything?
Yes, that is basically the major thing, is just helping people, educating people, and when I start to see them getting, the results, and I start to tell them, certain, do this or that, and they start to make these changes and get results, and it just makes me feel really good. And then also I'm in a position where now I can also start to mentor people who want to come into the business. and now I get to build a team. And so that's another like awesome, part of it. So it's like, I'm doing well with it. And I really like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No, definitely. And I
Mhm.
definitely can tell. I mean, I can attest to the fact that you're definitely very personable, and even just being an empath, really just being empathetic to people's needs and
Mhm.
understanding that, like, we're all coming from very different situations and life events. And especially with COVID, I know people have had some major setbacks. So again, meeting like someone that's understanding that the fact that, maybe someone had savings and went through all of their savings. Maybe it's a situation where they never had a job that they've been able to save. And I think someone that's understanding of that, it makes it a lot easier to feel like people are able to come to you and be honest about where their current situation is, and where they want it to go, and what's even reasonable in terms of what they're able to potentially, spend or save, or whatever they can do over the next few months or years or whatever,
Mhm.
in order to make a commitment to their financial health and wealth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely a big thing. So tell us a little bit more, like, about the company and like what services and everything that it provides.
Yeah, so the company, besides the youth financial program, there is a protection program. And so what I would do, if somebody came to me and they needed help, is kind of get a detailed analysis of exactly what their situation is. So, everybody is different. So do they have negative derogatory items on their report that need to be deleted? That's huge. Is it that they have high debt that they need to pay off and they need a plan? That's another, like, part of the service. A lot of people maybe also just don't have, a lot of people have been scared of credit cards, so they've been paying cash for everything. So
Yes.
now they don't have credit, so they have to build
Yes.
credit. So and though with those people, we have like a this is awesome, a credit my rent program, which is like using your rent to record to the bureaus, using your rent
Wow.
history and to record and to boost your score. Like, we know that those who own homes, their mortgages help, right? And when you pay your mortgage, that increases, but the people who rent haven't had that opportunity. So now
Yes.
there's a program that allows them, which I think is only fair, because
You're still paying it.
we're
Yeah.
still paying to live somewhere, right? So
Yes.
that's really helps boost the score. We have secure credit cards, that can, if those who can't get approved for a credit card, they can have this, where this will help to boost their score and to give them credit. So I just kind of like to go over everything with the client first, and then get them on the best, whatever's best for them. So I don't know if you want to start to show some of the
Yes.
slides, and I can kind of go over it. So what's on the screen right now, this is part of the protection program from United. It's United Credit Education Services. It's the protection program itself. And if you see, like, let's say that you needed, restoration, right? You needed those items taken um, off of your report, right? So we have that. Also, it comes with budgeting. So when you automatically sign up for the restoration, you're getting all of these other services that are included into it. So budgeting is huge. I will tell you, if you haven't been budgeting, it's such an eye opener. I did not budget until I started this, and
Okay.
whoa, it's like, I'll tell you right now, huge. Like, I realized when I kind of entered in they have like a ledger, and you enter it all in, and it calculates, what you're coming in, what is coming in, what's going out. And I was like, wait, I should have like way more money at the end of the month. Why not? And it was really, and like, okay, I had to make a lot of adjustments and be really honest with myself on when I'm like, get offline, Val, stop buying stuff,
Yeah.
cut
Buying
down on the
things. Yeah.
coffees and the lattes. And
Yeah.
it helps. Budgeting really is an eye opener, and it helps you to be able to save more money, to see where your money is, to keep track of your money more, of what is coming in and going out, mostly what's going out.
Yeah.
And you're able to make some changes and be surprised at some of the extra money that you can have at the end of the month. So it comes with a credit attorney. If you have any issues when we're trying to remove remove any items from your report. If you have any issues with consolidation companies or collection agencies, stuff like that, you have access to that. Credit monitoring, credit builder. We have debt payoff is huge. If you have, this allows you to pay off your debt faster without having to enroll in like a consolidation company, which can take a hit on your credit. This is kind of like, let's say if you had 3 credit cards and they had high balances, right? You would, or anything that has an interest rate. You know, I actually put my solar panels in here because I want to pay that loan off quicker, right? So anything that has an interest rate that you want to pay off, you would enter it all in with the interest rate and all that stuff. And then what it does is it calculates for you, like, and then you put like what you're paying now and all of this every month, right? So it calculates like what you're doing right now, and it will tell you with your current payment right now, how long this is going to take you to pay it off, like when your payoff date is and how much interest you're going to pay over time. And then it restructures your payments and gives you a new payment plan. And it will tell you, if you follow this payment plan, you will pay this off in this amount of time, and you can see the difference, and you'll save this much in interest, which is a lot. It's
a lot of times to have that comparison, I think, is huge, because again, it's almost like you don't know what you don't know. And if there is no comparison to go off of, it's like, well, it is what it is. But when you see that things could be different, and you're able to potentially restructure, and maybe, with your budget, you're able to realize there's places where you can, you're spending, an extra $30 here that, you didn't even realize, put that $30 towards, maybe, the newest like payoff amounts, or the monthly amounts, and that could be huge in terms of just being able to pay something off and get that off of your credit sooner than later, I guess, or being able to get some more positive credit.
Yes, right. You're so right. And this, it kind of structures where it will tell you like month 1, pay it like this. It will have all the accounts, pay this much on that one, pay this much on this one, this much on this one. So it comes up with a plan. And I think this is really helpful for people who are feeling overwhelmed and like having all these bills. So now they're like, okay, I'm just going to follow this plan. And I know if I follow this plan, then I'm going to, this is when I'm going to have the payoff date. And it has like an accelerator button. So if you get extra money in, and like, some people are getting stimulus checks and taxes, whatever, if you want to put it on there, you enter in this accelerator payment, and then it just recalculates it for you and gives you a new payoff date and a new payment. Yeah, so it's really, that is awesome. A lot of people
sounds like a really powerful tool.
It is. And like I said, you don't have to put anything extra in it or have, another company involved where now it's dropping your score lower. It's really just somebody helping you or a system helping you to restructure. Then we have the financial lockbox. This is kind of cool. This is where you can put a lot of important documents. Let's say, you have some documents or you have somebody that you want to have access to important things in the event that you are not able to, like say, God forbid, something happens, right? And you want somebody to have access to things. You can scan anything in there, your anything, any information you want. And it's a lockbox where they're going to need to have like a special code. You have to give only certain person permission to actually do it. So that's kind of cool. And it's also cool for you. Like, let's say you make a copy of your license and your social security number or your card or whatever, and you don't feel like going to get it. You can get it right from here. If you scanned it in, you can kind of grab it right from here. So there's that. Identity monitoring, we have this through Allstate. This is included, which is awesome. Obviously, a lot of this is happening lately. We just had kind of discussed before this, even with this pandemic, a lot of people are opening up unemployment under other people. So this is really good. And if you have if let's say you had identity theft before you enrolled in this and you were still dealing with issues for it, our credit attorney will help and help you with it, help you like resolve a lot of the issues.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge, because I hear that can be like an absolute nightmare for some people sometimes to claim, people have collected on their social security, or, again, like, unemployment, and now you need to file unemployment. It's like, well, listen, I've never you know, that's not me, but you've been paying someone else out. It's like that could be a real nightmare when you need access to certain things and then realizing that you've been the victim of identity theft. So
Yeah,
that's huge,
it
especially
is.
to have a credit attorney that knows how to, I'm sure, navigate the system much better than we know how to as just
Exactly.
just regular
Exactly.
people.
Yes, yes. And there's all little things like net worth, savings goal. This is huge, will and trust. This is included in the program. So I usually tell clients because once you get to the scores you want or you get the results you want, you can cancel anytime. But I always tell them before you cancel, do your will and trust because this could cost a lot of money if you did it outside and it's included. So that's a bonus here that you get to do that. And then of course, like I said, the YFL family mint program, which is the program that I do with my kids now, where it's an online program that teaches them about financial literacy. So that's all included in this protection plan. And of course, this is like the major one. It doesn't include, the credit my rent or the secure card, but this is like the major. This is what most people utilize.
Okay. And then we get like an idea, like, I mean, how costly is it like for
Mhm.
people to be able to participate in something like this
Yeah.
or
So
become a
if
member?
Right. So if you signed up for the protect like that, what I just showed you, that is 188 to start. That's your startup fee. It also includes your first month. And then
Okay.
after that, it's 89 a month.
Okay.
If you refer 5 friends who sign up, you get your services for free. There are ways to like get your services for free, which is kind of
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
And then that there's no contract. You can cancel at any time when, like I said, once you get your results. Usually people stay on our services for about 4 to 6 months
Okay.
usually, and they start seeing results within, I would say, 45 to 90 days. Because
Wow.
if you do have items that need to come off of your report, we take it all, we pull all of your bureaus, all your reports at once, all the items. We put them all
Okay.
in a letter at once. We dispute them all at once. That's what I was trying to say. Instead of one
Okay.
at a time. I know some places do one at a time. That takes a long time. So we do it all at one time, and then the bureaus have 30 to 45 days to get back to us. So that's why it might take like a couple of months, right? And then once these items start dropping off, then your score, obviously it helps your score. And then but some people do stay on the services longer because they're utilizing, the other things on there
The
that they
other
really
things too.
like. Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes I think too, people probably figure it's also a lot easier, to have obviously these trusted resources available versus what the cost would be when you don't have these services available to you. And it's because it's expensive to not have credit, quite
Yeah.
frankly. I mean, or to have bad credit is a very expensive process, especially when you're looking to get a home or you're looking to get a car. What you're going to end up paying in interest is a lot more than potentially what you could be paying for these monthly costs, especially to at least even if it's for a short period of time, just to get you on the right path and then feel, like you at least know what you're doing or have like a really good sense of your budget and what what your long-term goals are. I think that's really a huge asset to
Yeah.
be part of something like this.
Right. And then also you have access to your own portal. So you get to see, what's being disputed, what got deleted. You have access to see exactly what's going on. Like all of those services I told you, you have access also to see what was on your reports and what is actually how the process is going, which is
Okay.
huge. And then the credit my rent that's something different. It can there's 3 different programs for that. It can go back as far as 2 years of rental history,
Okay.
and then going forward, or 1 year and going forward, or if you just wanted to go forward, and that's the lowest of that is like $9.95 a month.
Okay.
But again, once your scores can start really boosting quick from that, especially if you go back 2 years or 1 year.
Okay.
And then like once you get the score that you want and you feel good about it, then you can, cancel services. And the other thing is about the portal that you have also includes a ton of education and resources in it. So there's even like little videos you can watch with like question and answers.
That's really nice. Yeah.
And that is important, I feel like, because once you get your credit score up, you don't want to end up there if possible, but you don't want to end up back up there again as if possible. So you really want to educate yourself while you're in the process to know exactly, about your credit and about certain things. So now
Exactly.
so now what you only might not have to do this ever again, so I like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. If you're going to do this, make it a learning experience and understand, potentially why you're in the situation you're in to begin with and ways to prevent that from happening. So like, let me just ask you for like programs, like you said, like Credit My Rent, how much would something like, say, doing that kind of program, how much does that actually have an effect on your credit?
So I've seen so far like 50 to 100 points.
Wow. So it can be
Yeah.
pretty significant then in terms
Yes.
of that.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, once it goes back a few years, as soon as you enroll and they can like validate, like, okay, these payments have been made for this amount of time, they automatically enter it in, and you get a boost right there. And then each month you get a little bit of a boost. So it depends how
Okay.
long you stay onto the program. If you stayed on the program, it can keep boosting like a mortgage,
Okay.
and keep helping
Okay.
more. But that initial boost so far, I've seen like 50 to 100.
Well, that's pretty significant in terms
Yeah.
of points. I mean,
Mhm.
50 to 100. I mean, I would see if it's 4 points, some people will be like, "Oh, forget it. I mean, this might not be worth, 9.95,
Right.
but 50 to 100 points is
Mhm.
pretty significant." And then what like something like that kind of program, Valerie, like how does that work in terms of like do you say like I live in an apartment complex and would I then give something to like my management company for them to validate like yes, this person has lived here for X amount of years and they've been paying rent consistently during this time. Like, how does that work? Does the amounts matter of how
Yeah.
much you pay?
No.
Okay. So even say for someone that say, I mean, there's people that are obviously have subsidized housing or that as well. Could that help people that are potentially also subsidized that are paying out of pocket in terms of rent?
Yep. As long as it can be validated, it doesn't matter the amount that you're paying. Somebody could pay 300 a month, somebody could pay 2,000 a month. It doesn't really
Okay.
matter. As long as they can prove on time payments,
Okay.
they can validate through the landlord or the management company. They'll
Okay.
call them within 2 days to just validate, is this, person been, renting? And then they just, say yes. And as long as you have, they can go through your payment history,
Okay.
then as long as it's validated. And so I've seen the most points go up is when people choose the plan that goes back, 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because all those payments now just all of a sudden boosted you, and that's
Exactly.
where
It's
you're
like,
getting like,
whoa, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And
Mhm.
again, the thing about it is you've been doing it anyway. So it's
Right.
almost like why not take credit for
Yeah.
something you have been doing? So
Mhm.
that sounds really amazing. The other thing is one that I want to ask you is like how often like when you are disputing something like you're saying like something derogatory on someone's credit report, how often are you successful in terms of getting something off of someone's credit report? And what are the reasons to even get something off of someone's credit report? Or dispute something? Like, does it always have to be like, oh, that wasn't me? Or is it even just the fact like this has been a while now? Can we get this off of here? Like, what are some of the reasons?
Yes. So, and basically anything can get disputed. It could
Okay.
be a repo, it could be, um, back student loans. It could be collection agency. It could be
Okay.
bankruptcy. Anything can be disputed. So what happens is once we get those first round of letters out, so they make the letters up, right? Like the lawyers, right? So they produce the letters. They put everything on, at once, and the wording that they use, they know, like, so if it's like a repossession, they know what
Okay.
wording to use to
Okay.
get, the response, or to get a positive result, right? And then what
Okay.
happens is we have the client, once the letters are ready, which sometimes it's like within a couple of days, we have
Okay.
them sign it and mail it out, because when it
Okay.
comes from the consumer rather than a third party, the letters have to be honored. And
Okay.
it's a different viewing process, that when they go through the letters, it's a different process. So you get better results with that. Now,
Oh.
after 30 to 45 days, it all depends. Sometimes, you know, a bunch of stuff can come off, you know, it really depends. Some stuff, they need further explanation. So then what we would do is we would have, you know, the lawyers look into whatever's left over and produce
Okay.
a second letter. And sometimes it might take 2 or 3 go throughs in order to get it off. But basically they know the wording to do, and there's certain
Okay.
wording for different situations. But
Okay.
if it's on your report, it's you can dispute it, you know, if
Okay.
it's on your report. And I'll tell you, a lot of people think that if they pay off something, if something's on their report and they ended up paying it off, it doesn't automatically come off. All it really does is say paid in full, you know, but it's still
Okay.
there. Yeah, so you want to get it off, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And of course, if you see things on your report that you don't think is yours, those are the easy ones, you know, like this isn't mine, you know,
This
like
isn't even me. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a process, but I've seen people, I can't even believe the stuff that's come off their reports. I can't even believe it.
You're
But
like, whoa.
I know, I'm like, well, this is like
Yeah.
amazing.
But like they say too, sometimes it's like if you don't ask, it's like then it's not going to happen. So why not at least ask? And then you're still in a better situation than you were probably prior. If you don't ask for anything, it's not going to happen at all. At
Right.
least if you ask, there's a possibility that it can come off and obviously improve your credit. So why not at least try it? So that makes perfect sense. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And so I just want to ask you too, actually before we jump ahead, I want to see, so we do have a couple other slides here
Yeah.
that I want to feature. Is this
Mhm.
good time to do that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I'm going to
Yes.
show this one. Let me actually just get rid of the banner here so we can see
Yeah,
this.
so this is
Yep.
the youth financial literacy program. This is what I was talking about earlier that I'm like my favorite part. So this is where, you know, they go and into the high schools and they like educate the students. And we have the online
Okay.
program as well. And then $2 of your monthly protection plan payment goes towards the program and then scholarships. So if you look underneath, our scholarships have increased over the years. So last year we were
Wow.
able to give $400,000, and then this year we're projected to do 600. And basically, it's for any kid who can enroll when they're last year of high school or first year of college.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
That's
I
a
love
really
that.
great.
Yeah,
I mean, especially you're probably thinking too, like it's something too where it's like your kids. You're
yeah.
like, hey,
Oh yeah,
you're going
yeah.
to be at that point. Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
amazing. And it's
Yeah.
really nice too. Like I love when with companies and stuff, the fact of the matter is it's not just like the money making aspect of it, but also the fact that they're dedicated to educating the next generation.
Yes.
Because I think that is something that is so nice to see. And like you said, is lacking in so many places. I think a lot of people think like, schools should include something with, a financial literacy component, like you're saying, or even just things that are like more life skills that are very, relevant and carry us through our adult health. And like you said, mental health is another one that's really huge. And I'm sure there's so many more that I can think of, like just even like when people even used to have home ec, like people like that was huge, like, or mechanics or woodwork or whatever else. I mean, and even just not in the way that you have to go to a vocational school, but just to have some basic skills,
Right.
sew a button on, do
Right.
certain things that you're able to do, come up with a shopping list, knowing how to cook some basic recipes. So I think there's certain things like that where, again, youth financial literacy is something that we should be thinking about investing in. And it's great that this company is taking that very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I also have this one, Val. I'll
Yeah.
stick my head out over here so I can see it.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people don't know what makes up your credit score. It can be annoying sometimes when we're like,
Exactly.
why is my score low, or whatever. So you're sticking your head out, you're making me laugh.
I know.
It's so funny.
I'll sit over here so I can see it.
So the biggest part is your payment history. 30, that makes up 35% of your score.
Okay.
That's huge. So paying your bills on time, obviously, we all know it's important, but I guess we didn't realize how important. So it's 35% of your is all right, I'm gonna give you an example. We have somebody who's working on her credit. She had an issue with her student loan, some kind of discrepancy, and I don't know, back and forth with them at the company, and lo and behold, she missed her payment. It dropped her score 60 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's huge. Like, this is huge. So I always tell people, if you're struggling this month, at least make the minimum payment. If you feel like you can't make the minimum payment, at least call the company sometime
Yes.
before it's late. And sometimes they can make an exception and they can give you a little leeway, or give you like a grace, a different, a grace period
Mhm.
before they report, so they don't report it. So, because you don't want any missed payments. So whatever you have to do for that, definitely. And the next one in line is 30% is amounts owed. So keeping the utilization low is important. So if you have credit cards, like, credit cards are good, because it helps you build credit. But if they're maxed out, it can hurt your score. So
Yes.
you have $1,000 limit, try to keep it under 300. Not try, keep it under 300. Try to keep that
Yes.
utilization low as much as possible. So basically, I mean, if you're paying your credit cards on time every month, and your balances are low, that's 65% of your score right there. So if you think of it in that way, those two things alone are huge.
So that should almost be able to give you a 650 at least credit
Yeah,
score, right? When you
right,
think of it
right.
like that? Okay.
Yes, yes, and I
That's
want
good to
everyone.
know. And
Yeah,
especially too, like the other thing I was gonna say too is like even back at like payment history, one of the things that I really like I remember like even one of my car insurance companies that I had, I switched recently, but the thing that I even like sometimes was like, hey, you know what? Something came up, or I don't know, something happened. And even just to be able to switch that date, like I could just go right on and be like, okay, you know what? I actually get paid the following week. Why don't I just switch this and like bring it out by 5 more days? And it gave you that capability, and then it would show you what the cutoff is too. Like you couldn't bring it out to, 3 months from now. But even like you said, there is some flexibility in that. Rather
yes,
than not making the payment, I would just do that proactively. Like, hey, you know what? I know this is going to be a big week. I have something coming up. Maybe it's a holiday. Let me bump out that payment by a couple days. I'm going to get paid again at that point. This is perfect. Then it will
yes,
come out right on that time, which
absolutely.
it didn't always, and I didn't necessarily need it to permanently change that date, but at some months I needed a little bit more flexibility, even just by a few extra days, and it gave me some breathing room. So I think that's
Absolutely.
another thing that's
Yeah,
huge. But
yeah,
definitely like you're saying, the credit utilization. I would also assume when you keep your credit cards lower like that, does that also mean that the credit card companies would be more apt to then increase your amount of credit that they would give you? So
yep,
then it always allows you to then, if you say, okay, you had $1,000 card, now it's going up to $2,500, then that will at least then gives you some permission and leeway to use more of the credit if you need to. So now you have more available to you as well. Um,
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And like, so like, just like you're saying, like, don't be afraid to talk to the companies, because they are sometimes, you'll be surprised how they're willing to work with you. And if you do ask for an increase, I just want to, like, because we will talk about inquiries in a minute. It doesn't go against you if you get an increase. It doesn't go against it doesn't count as an inquiry. So
Okay.
you can ask them for an increase as many times as you want, and it's not going to affect your score just to ask them.
Yeah,
Um,
and especially I know sometimes it just happens automatically too. I've seen
yes,
friends who are like,
it
"What?"
does.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, or one of the biggest ones that I love is when they say, "Oh, would you like to add somebody else to this card?" It's like we can help you out. It's like, no, thanks. Like, I seem to be able to spend enough on my own, thank you. But thanks
Right.
for asking. But like,
Right.
especially if they realize you haven't really used it much lately, it's like, hey,
Yes.
we can help you out. Why don't you add someone else to it? It's like, no,
Yes.
thanks, but Thank
know.
you, but I think that that's another one. I mean, so if you feel like, say you're starting out with a credit card, and you see that, okay, you're staying under the amount. How often is there like a set amount of time that credit card companies usually will give increases? So like, say I'm making all my payments on time, I'm under 30%. Like, is there like every 6 months, or is it just sort of arbitrary, just based on what the company may be?
Yeah, I just think it's arbitrary. I think that they all kind of are, they're a little bit different. Each
Okay.
one's different. So I don't know if there's a real pattern behind it, like when they say, okay, let's give this person an increase. But I will say, the chances of getting an increase, just basically, making them those payments on time and increasing your score,
Yes.
your credit score, those two things in hand, like if you start, I would say after like 6 months of paying them on time, and then and keeping your balances low, and then getting your score increased a little bit, I would say you're in a good shot to get them to increase it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. And I want to also make note that to have a good credit score, it doesn't matter what you make. So I think some people really think that they have to make a lot of money. You have to be like rich or have a lot of money to have a good credit score, and that's not the case. It's not
Okay.
based on. I just wanted to make that note. Like, it's not. This is
That's
for
a good point.
anybody. Yeah, because it's not based on money. It's really just these things right here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
because you can make a lot of money. And if you're still using 90% of your credit utilization, I mean, it doesn't matter. You're still using 90% of your credit utilization. And that might mean you still have a lot to pay off. So
exactly.
yeah, I mean, but then you could be making, $10 an hour, and you might have better credit than somebody making, $500,000 a year,
Absolutely. It's true.
based on
It's
the
true.
fact of it's all about when are you making your payments and how are you using that credit. So
Right.
that's a really great point, Valerie.
Yes, very true, very true. And then 15% is your length of credit history. So if
Okay.
you think of your cards, your credit cards, or your loans, whatever, as fine wine, they get better as they age. So when I
Yes.
was younger, I didn't know that, and I was all excited that I paid a credit card off, and I shut it down. And I'm going to tell you, don't ever shut them down. um, yeah, don't do that. So any card that's over 2 years old is really helping your score out.
Yes.
So
Okay.
let them age. And I will say, if you're not using them, every once in a while, like I tell people, if you have a Netflix bill or something, make it come out of that card, because
Yes.
every month it's charging and you're paying. It's charging and it's paying. Your score is going to really boost from that. If you're not using them, then it's not really like doing anything. It's not hurting you, but it's not helping. And then also, if you don't use it for like a long period of time, this
Hmm.
doesn't happen often, but they could close it on you. And if they close it
Exactly.
on you, that's not going to be good. So keep that in mind. I know that once you pay the cards off, you might be like, oh, I'm not using these again, but you might want to consider using them just to keep getting that score up, and using them like
Mhm.
low and paying low.
Exactly. Like, even if you say, okay, I'm going to use this one card and I'm going to use this for my gas. Like, every time I get gas, this is what I'm going to put on this card. I mean, nothing that ends up being like, excessive, where you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm back into a same situation. I can't pay this down. But something that you feel like, okay, this is manageable. At the end of the month, I'm paying $100. It's not like you're paying, $3,000 or something like that, because you bought some fine jewelry for yourself or something like that.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, no, that makes sense. You don't have to. Just because you're using it doesn't mean you have to splurge on something that's not necessary. You can
Right.
use it for something that is very necessary, that you'd be
Right.
paying for anyway. So that makes
Absolutely. 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 And then, like you said, I know you said about them asking if you wanted any users on your account. So if is another little tip, if you're struggling with your credit score, and you know somebody who a lot of people might not have this option, but if you know
okay.
someone who you're really, really close to, like a mother or father, and they have excellent credit, and they've had their credit cards for a zillion years, and they're really good with paying them off. If they put you on as an authorized user, even if you don't use it, you get credit for all that history.
Oh, I'm gonna go look for somebody tomorrow. Now, can I call you? Can I call you if I run out of luck?
Oh, Valerie, can you put me on your credit card?
I know, it's like, hey, everybody, I'm looking for someone to take me in. It's like,
Right.
that will be my next Facebook page. It's like
Yeah.
Facebook post. It's like, hi, anybody, can you looking to help a girl out? Looking to help MeLa out? Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's like, no, I mean, again, like you said, but that goes two ways. You have to really know the person, and it has to be someone that you can really trust too, because I've heard of like horror stories
Right.
that you do that, and you are also like, say if someone like, if I was added to someone's, or I added someone to mine, the scary thing is, I mean, they're responsible, you're responsible. It's like you could destroy someone's credit like that too.
You really could. That's why I said this might not be an option for many. This was an option for
Well,
one
you
of my
might not want to think about doing that.
Right. One of my clients was able to do it because it was her mother-in-law who was older, and she's not even going to use the card like my client isn't, but it boosted her up. So it's not always like I said, it might not, but if you never know, someone might, have an opportunity. And another one, new credit, 10%. These are your inquiries. So these can really, like a hard inquiry, like when you're trying to get a credit card or a loan or a car or whatever, these can really bring your score down. So too many of these inquiries at once, it kind of gives a message that your debt to income ratio is like a lot more off than you are like reporting, and it can be be a red flag, right?
Like an alert. Yeah, like you're going around everywhere looking for looking for credit. It can indicate, and that is interesting as well, that we actually need to come up with this kind of formulation when it comes to dating. It's like, hey, it's like somebody's been someone's been looking around in too many places. Shut them down. They might be desperate. No, that's definitely, that is actually very helpful information. And then what would you say as far as that goes in terms of what is considered like an ideal credit score?
So 7, like 27, 720, 750, that's awesome.
Okay.
If you're in the 800 range, like
you're golden.
Like A+. That's like A+. But 7 to like 8 is like awesome. You won't have any problems with those scores. That's really, really good. And obviously, as it goes down, 6, if I see people who are 650, I'm like, oh, you're almost there. I actually had a girl come to me for a consultation. She had she wasn't that far off. And some of the things that she could do on her own. So I just was like, you know what, you don't even, let me just tell you what you can do on your own. And then, and that's the thing too, like if anyone has a phone consultation, it's not like I'm necessarily gonna if you could do something on your own, I'm gonna let you do it on your own, Oh,
that's really nice.
Yeah. So it was something that she could do on her own to boost her score up. So some people aren't really that far off. And there's a few little tweaks that they could do to bring it up, and that's awesome when that happens. But obviously, go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds like you have some real helpful hints too, like in terms of even it could even be that credit to the rent to credit program, like you said, or am I saying it backwards? Rent to credit, credit to rent. Okay,
credit to rent, but
credit to rent. Okay, because even something like that could be enough that it's like, boom, you're now at 700. So that sometimes it could even just be something like that. Because again, sometimes I think what is so frustrating is again, you get a new lease or you get a new loan or you can't hurry that process up. It sort of just has to take the time to mature, so it's no longer considered a new credit line. With inquiries, this sort of the same thing. So sometimes it's like all you can do sometimes is wait or try to find something like that you could hopefully pushes you over, because I've been sitting there sometimes okay, hurry. Like I already did this inquiry, it seems like a while ago, just fall off already, because it's done. It's a done deal, So, but it sort of stinks sometimes when that's working against you in a way that it's like, but I've made all my payments on time. Can you give me credit for that? Yeah, you are getting credit for that, but still, sometimes it's just sort of a waiting game too, especially if you're in, a good set of habits. So that can be frustrating, but it does sound like there's some little tricks and tips and tricks and stuff like you were saying, which are helpful.
Secure credit card. Even with that, I know with me, for instance, grocery shopping, right?
Yeah.
I'll just take the money out of my account, my banking account, and pay for it. Where if you put it on a secure credit card, the money on a secure credit card, and then you use the card, that's helping. Right.
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
little things like that. So there are little things that you can do.
Exactly. And it doesn't sound like anything unreasonable either,
Right.
which is
No.
great.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, Val, that you've actually started this business, very recently, but obviously it sounds like it's something you've been passionate about for quite a bit, just based on,
Mm-hmm.
obviously finances are huge for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, like, what triumphs would you say you've had, being like having this business so far? And
Yeah.
any
So
setbacks too that you
right.
might want to
Yeah.
share?
Yep. So, Triumph, I already got like my first promotion within 2 months.
Ah,
I know.
congratulations. That's so
Yeah.
exciting.
I'm working on my third. So
Oh,
within 2 months, I like
awesome.
there's levels that you can move up. There's like a
Yeah.
certain thing. And when I think of promotion, I just think of like all the people that I'm helping.
Yes.
And that's what makes me so happy. But I got my first one within 2 months, and this is doing a
Okay.
part-time. So I think that was like huge. I'm like, if I did this
Yes.
full-time, and then I'm working on my third one now. I'm hoping to get it by like the end of next week. So
Oh,
that's
that's
kind of like some.
great.
I know, I'm really
Nothing
excited.
stopping you. I'm
I
not
know.
surprised though. I'm not
Thank you.
surprised.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's a big triumph. The other one is I've just found like, I don't know if this goes into this category, but for me, like just the flexibility of it, like I said,
Yes.
me being able to do it like on lunch breaks, whatever. The other triumph I've had is like, I've really been able to increase my personal development, like
Yes.
huge. So for instance, you might not be able to tell now because I'm talking here, but I'm kind of an introvert and I'm kind of shy. So doing,
Oh,
yeah. So getting,
it's like welcome to the extrovert club. You're crossing over little by
yeah,
little.
right.
Yes.
So I was always afraid to give like oral presentations in schools and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. When I
Yeah.
was in college, I would look at the syllabus right away and I'd be like, oral presentation. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
thinking about it forever. So when I first started this business, I knew that like I had to go, make a lot of videos online and stuff like that and talk to people. So the first thing I did was I made a video, on Facebook, and I just started making videos. So I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not going to let this weakness like get to me. So I've done a lot of personal development, and I'm like obsessed with personal development now. Like
Yeah.
every day I listen to something, or either, in my car, an
Mm-hmm.
audiobook as I'm driving. I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I don't even know what's going on TV anymore. Like, or like if I'm on the treadmill, I'm at the gym, I'm listening to like a motivational like speech, a video, and then all of my trainings start with personal development. It's
Yeah.
almost like a must. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been a huge triumph for me, just because I've really grown in just like a short amount of time, and like my own self, I've grown.
And you feel so good too. I think it
Yeah.
also, you realize sometimes too, like the things that we sometimes struggle with, nobody else would even realize that we're struggling with them. But at the same time, it just gives you such a sense of confidence, in the sense that,
Mhm.
you're committed to doing something, you're committed on working, like you're working towards something bigger for yourself, you're investing in yourself in a way that it's like, once you even, and sometimes it's those small gains, like I didn't have to redo this video 15 times. Like I did it once and I'm doing it live, and you know what, whatever happens, happens. And I think a lot of times that feels really great, because you're building a confidence, and you do know your stuff, and
Yeah.
but we are growing and we're learning all the time, but nobody's going to be perfect. And
Yeah.
if you can just do something a little bit better than you did yesterday, that's a huge improvement and should
Right.
certainly be celebrated. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Thank you. And then like some setbacks, I would say, which I know setbacks can always turn into triumphs, but
Yes.
some that I've had, I would say balancing everything, organizing, like me having to organize, which I'm getting better at, but that's been like a little setback, is trying to make time for everything.
Yes.
Because like I'm like, of course, like I want to do more and help more people. And I'm like, I just need another 24 hours in the day, to like do all the things I need to.
Exactly.
And that's always me. I'm the one with the
Yes.
to-do list that's like Okay, we're not, what are you doing?
I
Right?
know, I know, I know.
What are
Sometimes then I'm
you
like,
gonna
I'm
do?
so tired. And it's like, yeah, well, yeah, it makes sense when you have like 20 things you're trying to cross off a list. So
Yeah.
it definitely makes sense. And like,
Yeah.
who would you say has like even acted as like inspiration to you in terms of, getting into this, especially because again, like when you do get into something new, especially a business, and taking on this kind of like undertaking, it can be uncomfortable sometimes and it's unfamiliar in a lot of ways. So like who's acted as like a support or inspiration to you during this process?
I have a few. So I will say my first one is my dad. My dad has
That's
been,
great.
he's had his own business his whole life. Like he's always been self-employed, and he's like a hustler kind of guy, so
Yeah.
he's been, my inspiration. So I'm like, well, my dad can do it, I can do it. My mom has been an inspiration just because I see how she struggled so much and she's worked two jobs,
Mhm.
and I'm like, you know what, I have no excuses. If she can do it, I can do it, like, and she's my why. Like I always say, like when you start something new, you have to have a why. Like, why are you doing it? And she's
Yeah.
one of my whys, right? Because like I'm like, when I like, like make it to a certain level, I'm gonna help my mom, so she can like
Oh,
relax and have a like an easy life. Like I want to help my mom. So
yeah.
that's like been an inspiration for me. My kids, obviously, they are my why. They're my huge why. I know that they're watching me. I want to like lead by example.
Yeah.
Let them know anything's possible. Like I let them know everything, that I'm doing like with the business, and like things that I might be uncomfortable with that I have to like work on, because I know that when I'm doing that, like they're going to realize, like when they're in those situations, to pull through and push through. And then, the people who I'm helping, it's not even about me. It's about people that I'm helping along the way. I just want to keep like
Mm.
helping more people. And then another huge inspiration for me is my upline. So like my mentors and the people like I'm in training with, and the people that I'm networking with, they all
Yes.
have a story. I
Yeah.
swear they all have a story of where they started, like in their life, and how, and the things that they've gone through to get to where they are. That's inspiration for me, because I'm
Yes.
like, like, wow, I love hearing stories like that. So that's also been like a huge inspiration. And I'm constantly, meeting new people in the organization, or even outside of the organization, the trainings that we have. And
Yes.
I'm like, everybody has a story,
Mhm.
so that's inspiration to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think again, like it's huge I really like the fact that you're even saying with your kids, like even talking to them about like things that you're uncomfortable with, because I think so many times like we try to protect our kids, or sometimes we just don't even think of like, oh, they just see us doing and doing and doing. And I think sometimes they come from a place of thinking like, oh, well, we've always known, or we've always been so certain about it, or we just, you become an adult and like click, like you have it. And you realize a lot of times like that's not the case. Like this is work, this is having to be uncomfortable and realizing it's about pushing through that. Like so you said, like a lot of times it's about like how many times do you come back from a setback, like how many
Mhm,
times do you
mhm,
make that comeback and stuff. And so I think
mhm.
that's huge in terms of because it must be nice for your kids to see a level of vulnerability, but also they see the strength in that, and that you're really pushing through in a way that even though we're adults, it doesn't mean that we're not scared of things too, or
Right.
potentially feel like we're taking a chance. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a beautiful thing that you're able to share that with them. And
Mhm.
have they given you like any feedback in terms of when you do sort of tell them some of those things?
I know like they did with my videos. Like I'll be like, when I first started doing videos and I would show them, they're like, "Oh, you posted that." And like, you did
Yeah.
a video, and they're like smiling, but they're like shocked. And they're excited, and
Yeah.
they actually, whenever I'm on my trainings, they kind of peek in, because it's like, obviously now they're virtual. So they peek,
Yes.
they listen, and they like, oh, who's this one, or who's that one, and they're engaged in that. And I think I'm like, oh, this is kind of awesome, because a lot of the training is about personal development, which they could get, or financial
Exactly.
stuff, right? So
Exactly.
sometimes if there's a training going on and I have to, take my kids somewhere, I'll just play it in the car radio and my kids are listening to it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, it's funny that you actually say that, Valerie, because I don't think I realized like how much even just based on some of this, even just based on being a catalyst, like COVID being a catalyst for this, like our kids are are being exposed to us, our professional lives in ways that they never really would have been. So like
Mm,
usually they see us like, running around doing this, doing that, but we have such a different professional identity that they don't necessarily know about. So I do think about that as well, because I think it's been a shift as well. Some of the things that my son has seen in terms of me like going to school and, engaging with classmates in terms of like more of my academic self, but then also, potentially he could be hearing me talk to colleagues, or even just like, here's me even doing a podcast or something to that extent. So it is actually sort of cool for them to actually have that,
mm,
sort of that like behind the scenes, like look in kind of where they wouldn't usually, we're sort of off in a different location and we're not really sharing that so much in
right,
such a candid way. So I think
right.
that is really a nice thing to see. And how we have to show up to different things and how we talk to people and how we relate to people, and
Mm,
even just to see how much work we put in a given day, and like,
mhm.
what it takes to even keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I think it gives hopefully a different appreciation of everything that goes into the people that we're becoming, and hopefully
Yes.
set some really positive examples for them. So I really appreciate you actually mentioning that as well.
Yeah.
And I know personally you are an amazing person through and through, and I definitely appreciate all of your insight and everything that you come to the podcast with every time.
Mhm.
But what do you feel like are some of your special characteristics that you bring to the table in terms of this business, and especially like just in terms of maybe financial counseling, or credit building, and like what do you feel like specifically for you and your like that you're able to bring to the table in maybe a different way than people are actually used to?
Okay, so I think first of all, for me to even continue like being as knowledgeable or to keep growing, right? My knowledge and my ability to lead and help and stuff is I always say like the three C's, which is like being
Okay.
coachable, which
Yep.
I'm extremely coachable, if I'm willing to grow. So I don't come in thinking like I know everything, I want knowledge, right? So
Yes.
because I am, I'm open to that, and I'm open. Some people are not coachable, right? Some people, don't like to hear like, okay, you do this differently or whatever. So the fact that I'm coachable, I'm consistent and committed,
Yes.
right? So I
Yep.
have a consistent schedule, and I'm committed to helping people, right? And I'm committed to what I'm doing. I
Hmm.
think that is like is helpful. Um, and then, of course, like I said, the natural desire to help people, me being a teacher, in my
Yes.
mind and my soul, and
Yep.
helping. I think another thing is being relatable to a
Yeah.
lot of people that are coming to me in a situation, because a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about
Yes.
why they're in a situation. There's like,
Hmm.
and there's like a zillion reasons why, your credit score could be bad, or you could be in a financial situation. I mean, the pandemic alone, right, has put in people out of jobs. I mean, there's so many things that could happen. And
Yes.
I think when people come to me, that's why sometimes I really like to do the phone consultation, so people know like who I am, because I'm not judging. And I think because I don't judge, and because I understand, and because I
Hmm.
come from a place of just trying to help you, and I can be relatable because I'm divorced. I'm, a mom, like just trying to do what I got to do and working and everything. I'm
Yes.
coming from way up here, I understand the struggle, right? So I think really, that really, really helps. And I also feel like, because I'm into teaching, I feel like I have it being a mentor. Like I am in a position now where I have some people now on my team that I brought on, mentoring them and helping them, and I'm able to bring that. Finally, I feel like I'm using my degree now, like
Yep.
in this kind of a way, right? I'm able to teach and help and guide people. So
Yes.
because of just the natural way that I am. So I feel like that's like the characteristics that I bring that can help.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure it seems like it's a big boost to you too, because again, I think as people, we want to feel like we're utilizing like our skills and even developing skills, but also utilizing the skills that we already have. So again, it seems like a perfect culmination for you of like what the foundation you've already had in terms of education, being someone that's an empath that really understands and feels what people are going through. And then also based on your own experiences, and then obviously having this be um, sort of like a medium to like work through. So like understanding like the financial parts of it and realizing, I mean, it's a conversation that we're all dealing with finances. And there's so many things that can unexpectedly happen. Like, I mean, especially with COVID, you could have lost a spouse. You could have, you could have lost a family member and have, unfortunately bills associated based on that loss. And so many unexpected things have happened during COVID. If you are a business owner, so many business owners have taken major hits, and or people have been laid off. So I mean, again, I think this is basically 2020, if anything, has taught us like, don't judge, don't assume, don't, just be appreciative of where you are. If you're able to get up every day, have a roof over your head and food on the table, like really count your blessings, because
Mm.
again, it's nothing that we can take for granted. But I do feel like sometimes there's a lot of shame in what people don't have, and a lot of times it's not their fault. So we're very fortunate sometimes that we don't experience certain circumstances that really push us back, because nobody wants to be in a bad financial situation.
No.
Nobody asked for that. So I think that's something pretty universal that we can all say.
Mm.
And lastly, one of the biggest things that I wanted to ask you was, what advice do you have for girls that may want to start their own businesses, especially businesses in terms of like, potentially finances, where sometimes we know that has been really a male dominated field in terms of finances and banking and numbers and different things, and hopefully that kind of thing is changing. Or what do you even say to aspiring business owners, especially other women? Like, what are some of the key takeaways that you have, that you would basically give as far as the message goes for women, girls, anybody that's sort of looking to get into the financial area?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say first thing, it's our time. Women, like
Yes.
we've had women pave the way for us, and we're limitless. And I want every girl, woman out there to know that there's no limit. If there's something that you want to do, like if there's no limit. So you need to like switch that mindset up, because we're in a
Yes.
position now where we can lead in so many ways. So whether it's you wanting to start like a side hustle, like a side business or something full time, and you don't know like where to start or what to do, I will say a good thing to do is make a list of 5 things about you, right? Like things that you
Yes.
whether it's who you are, who you think you are, your characteristics, your passions, things that you love, whether it's okay, I'm a soccer mom of 2, or I love fitness, I love to cook, I love art, I'm really, I don't know, like funny or whatever, like all these, like just write a list about yourself, see what your
Yes.
passion is, see what you love. And I'm going to tell you, see, pick something that you want. Like, let's say art, you are really good at making like a certain type of art,
Yes.
let's just say, okay, and now you're going to say, well, how can I use this to serve others, how can I use this to help others? Every business should be like, what can you do for other people? Like, how can you help other people? What can you do? And then I want to tell you, utilize online, utilize social media. There is so much opportunity. 80% of network marketing success is women. That's a fact.
Wow.
Women. 80% of the success is women for network marketing. I'm going to tell you, they have so many platforms out now. There's a new one, Clubhouse.
Yes, I'm part of the clubhouse.
Yeah, right. So isn't it
Yeah.
awesome? Like you really, so
Yes.
if art is your thing, you can like network and meet a lot of people, and there's a lot of
Yes.
opportunities that can open up. So definitely, getting into that. I will tell you, I'm going to give you an example, okay, of somebody starting a business out of a situation of herself. Sometimes you can start a business out of your own personal situation. I was
Yes.
training. There was a woman, and I wish I remembered her name, and I don't. They talked about a woman who she went through a divorce. And she had 2 kids, and her husband, ex-husband now, they agreed that they wanted to go to counseling after the
Okay.
divorce so that they could have a really good, solid foundation and good working family still, even though that they weren't together, so they could have a happy
Yes.
divorce and not put themselves or the kids through something like any trauma, right? So they ended up having such really good success that this girl started to little by little start to mentor people on the side about like couples on having a happy divorce. She opened her own business helping
Wow.
people have happy divorces. Now, she doesn't have a degree in it or anything like that. She has her own personal situation. She's booming. Her business is booming. She's helping so many people. I think she's making 6 figures with this business
Wow.
right now, 6 or 7 figures, and she's helping so many people. So don't think that, like, really get into your mind of like, what could you, because don't
Yes.
limit like an idea, because you could bring something to the table that somebody else didn't. And now
Exactly.
you're
Exactly.
using your
Sometimes
personal,
Yeah, sometimes it's about thinking out of the box, like you're saying, like something that like nobody's done, but then at the same time, it seems like, well, why wouldn't someone want a happy divorce? Like, you know what I mean? It's something that seems so simple in some ways. Like, yes, if we can make this as amicable as possible, why would we not want to make this as friendly and healthy as possible, especially when kids are involved? And I mean, again, it seems like a new concept, but it's probably a concept that's been, thought of for quite some time, but nobody actually ever packaged it. So, like you're saying, sometimes it just takes a special person to see, like, have a need and go through a certain experience and then
Mhm.
realize, like, hey, you know what? I actually can help other people through this. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's amazing. Like, it's amazing, to see that. I'm like, there's no limit. Like, you could really, you could really bring something to the table and help. And so now she's using that and she's really helping people. It's a service, but she's using her own experience. So now she has her own business, which is awesome, right?
That's
Um,
really nice.
I would say that. And then also personal development. I mean, obviously, this is big for anybody, even if you're not in a business, but if you're going to be in a business or you're going to start a business, there's going to be moments where you're really motivated, and there's going to be moments that are going to put you down. Like if you're not getting, the results, as fast as you want, or if there's like setbacks that come up, or,
Yes.
of course you have to give up things to go up. Like that's what I say, that you have to make sacrifices, short-term sacrifices for long-term goals. And,
Yes.
you might not be able to have such much of us like me, like a social life right now. But those are the moments that you're going to need a boost, and because when you start a business, you're really creating a new version of yourself, and you're really going to grow into a new kind of like a new level. So you're
Yes.
going to have to use personal development, whether it's, I would say, at least a half an hour a day, whether I said, like, even if you feel like you don't have time, like in the car, audiobooks, those have been my best friends. On the treadmill, when you're working out, when you're getting ready before you go to bed,
Hmm.
if you want to pull out a book and read a little bit, and don't just read or don't just listen. At moments where you feel like something hits you when you're listening to personal development, pause, stop, and write it down, and
Yes.
retain it, and feel like how. So I think, like, when you're doing a business, everybody needs to do personal development. It's huge,
Yes.
every day, consistently, because it will keep you in the momentum. If I'm having a bad day, I know, like, people are like, oh, I need to go get a glass of wine. I'm like, I need to listen to Tony Robbins. Right?
Yeah,
I need to
exactly.
listen to something, and I'm telling you, it snaps me out of it, and it like kicks my butt, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me get out of that funk and let me keep going. So
Hmm.
personal development is huge. And I'm going to end by saying, as women, we have always have a unique spark, a unique piece in us, right?
Hmm.
And then as we grow and as we learn and as we like we start to utilize like all of our gifts, we start lighting up in ways that we didn't even think we had, or we didn't even think existed within us. And when that starts to happen, you're like, wow, like I've been sitting on all this potential and all this awesomeness for so long, you know? And so I'm going to say, like, never limit yourself, like I've been saying, but like, just get to the idea that there is so much within you that you haven't even experienced yet. Don't put limits on it. And because when you start to show up and you start to, start a business or do things, you're representing all women from like all over the world. And that's what we need. We need more women out there, just, doing exactly what they want to do and being fearless and working through it all and becoming, just providing the world with like their awesomeness. So I would say as a woman, like definitely, definitely like just go after whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, and just whatever it is.
Definitely. And I think one thing that's actually really cool is that we just found out very recently that we have the same alma mater in terms of our high school, and it was an all girls high school. So definitely shout out to Bayview Academy, right? And that was like amazing to see, because it was like, you're like, wait a minute, like you went there? It's like, yeah, what year are you? What year are you? So that was really awesome too, because I have to say, I give so much credit in terms of having an education like that, in terms of, really the setup is educating girls to become effective women in the world and the communities around them. And I have to say, I think that is something that I can see within you. And certainly I think it's just so resounding in the sense that, just having that value as women and coming to the table as the complete bosses that we are, in the sense of like, we can do anything that we set our minds to. And I think, it makes me, think of like the quote again, and I've used this a few times throughout Women's History Month, the month of March, is, cheers to, strong, independent women. Let us know them, let us be them, and let us raise them. And I think that's huge in terms of just where we're going. Like, again, we have so many people that have set up on such a historical journey to make sure we're here and have a voice at the tables that we decide that we want to sit at and participate in. And it's really important that we do those things. So I think, again, like I can't definitely, I mean, everything you said, Val, is just so inspiring. And I'm just so excited that, just to have you on this podcast and for you to share in your business. And I have to say, I'm just really excited to see where it goes. But it definitely sounds like something that we could all, very much use in the future, and definitely use you as a resource. And again, I think financial independence is something that is so huge and something that's really evolved over time, because as we know, not that long ago, women were, thought to just be very reliant on husbands, and they had all the power. If they decided to leave tomorrow, guess what? You were on your own, and you weren't having a very good life, and you weren't going to have a very full life. So I think just being able to know that financial independence comes in all different, shapes, sizes, and it can be whatever you want it to be, is definitely very empowering to all people. So once again, I want to thank you so much for being on Meetup with MeLa today, to discuss your business, the financial education services. Once again, everyone, you can check Valerie out on Facebook at Valerie Jean, Instagram at the Tridenti, and also on your website. And Val, I'll let you say your website this time around, if you don't mind.
It's all right. So I'm trying to get I'm in the process of getting a new website. So this one's like long, I know, but www.ucespp.net/V McGill, which is McGill.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
If you go to my Instagram, it's listed on there. So you can just click it if you forgot what I just said.
Okay, perfect. That makes it easy too. Yeah. But definitely thank you so much for being on Meetup with MeLa again. Again, my this episode as well as others can be found on the YouTube channel, Meetup with MeLa. And thank you so much, Valerie, for being on here today. I definitely appreciate you as a cherished friend, a guest, and definitely I'm sure we will see you again again, and I certainly welcome that. So anytime you want to come back and enlighten us with your positivity and light, we
So
certainly
tomorrow,
appreciate
then?
it. Yes, definitely. It's
I'm
like,
always
yes.
down to be on this podcast. I love this podcast. And thank you so much for having me. I honestly, every time
thank
you're
you.
like, okay, would you like to be do an episode? I'm like, oh, she's asking me again. I'm so honored. So
yes,
I
no,
appreciate
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Definitely. And you were nominated too by one of your friends, Isabel.
Yes.
That
yeah,
has
she's
been
awesome.
a huge support of mine too in terms of
Yeah.
sharing my posts. So thank you
Yeah,
so much,
she's
Isabel. Shout out to you as well in terms of supporting women and supporting
Yes.
this podcast. I certainly appreciate it. And obviously you were spot on in terms of nominating Valerie to do this podcast, especially to honor women. So thank you so much. Thank you for being
Thank
here, and
you.
take care, my friends.
You
Stay
too.
healthy and well, and we'll be in touch soon.
Okay.
Again, thanks so much, everyone, for watching Meetup with MeLa, and stay tuned for more episodes. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.